what can Black Lives Matter get away with? It's like their stupidity just knows no bounds. So yesterday, a man was shot in Detroit after he pulled a gun on police officers and opened fire on police. And guess what happened? Police fired back. He was shot and killed. He was originally being arrested for trying to rob someone at gunpoint. You would think this would be celebrated, right? This guy is terrorizing the community, trying to rob innocent law-abiding citizens at gunpoint. The police do their job, go in to arrest the guy. The guy tries to shoot the police officer. The police officer kills him. And then guess what? Protests erupt. All the Black Lives Matter people form a protest and start protesting the death of this criminal. You would think that there would at least be a certain line that would be drawn. At a certain point, that Black Lives Matter people would look at these situations and say, okay, well, the use of force was justified. At what point is the use of force ever justified? If you're allowed to shoot at police officers and they're not allowed to use lethal force, then what? What is the excuse this time? I'm just trying to imagine possibly what Black Lives Matter can say about this. Oh, well, he was shooting at the police officer, but he didn't hit him. Should the police officer wait until the guy hit him? He tried to shoot the police officer. He missed. The police officer shot back and the guy died. Should the police officer have to take a bullet? 2 or 3 bullets? Should he have to lose a pint of blood? Should they be allowed to kill a police officer before another police officer comes and uses lethal force? I mean, at what point is lethal force justified? I mean, I thought for sure the line would be drawn in the Rayshard Brooks case. I thought for sure there's no way Black Lives Matter supporters are dumb enough to get behind this guy. For sure they would realize that this one was justified. You have a guy that is getting arrested for a DUI. 100% fair. The guy blows into the breathalyzer way past the legal limit. The cop has every right to arrest him. The cop goes to arrest him. He fights off the police officer, punches him in the face, and when they're wrestling, grabs his taser. And I mean, what happens if it was the gun? Do you think that Rayshard Brooks cared whether he grabbed a taser or a gun? You think that if the gun was right next to him, right next to his hand, it was in proximity, you think that he would have not reached for the cop's gun? But he just reached for whatever was near him. He was going to try to escape by any means necessary. Grabs the cop's taser, tries to fire it at him, and then gets killed. And I thought for sure there's not going to be a protest for this guy's death. I mean, this was a clear use of justified force. But no, seemingly overnight, a taser goes from being a deadly weapon to a children's toy. This is now a Fisher-Price children's toy. Tasers are no longer deadly, as long as it's not the cop that's using it against Black Lives Matter supporters. As long as the BLM people are using tasers against the cop, the taser is now a children's toy and does basically no damage at all, and the cop has absolutely no reason to use lethal force. But let's completely ignore the fact that had the taser been successfully used against the cop would have been incapacitated and unable to defend himself and unable to protect himself from that criminal grabbing his firearm and using it against him. Let's pretend like none of those things happened. And now in this case, you have someone actually using a real gun against police officers. And these idiots are still protesting. I mean, this almost seems like an experiment where Black Lives Matter wants to just test the loyalty of their support base. I thought like the defund the police would have been the line. I thought as soon as even the most loyal supporters saw they wanted to defund the police, I thought there would have been pushback and people would have said, oh, no, we can't do that. That's obviously just crazy talk. But no. You have millions of idiots that gathered all over the country holding up their defund the police signs. And here's the most ironic part about this. I see all these liberal white women going to these protests holding up their defund the police signs. These were the same people that were at the Women's March and the Me Too rallies. Do you not realize, in the absence of law enforcement, the only thing that keeps you safe are your physical abilities to protect yourself? The police are there to protect the most vulnerable. Children, women, elderly. The people that are going to be most at risk are the vulnerable people, like women. In the absence of police, What is going to stop someone without consequence from raping and killing others? These same idiots that were at the Me Too movement are now protesting at the Black Lives Matter rallies, calling to defund the police. These are the people that are going to be fucked the hardest, that are going to be victimized the most in the absence of police presence. I mean, this is just truly astonishing. I mean, I just can't think of what is next. They're going to say, oh, well, the guy shot a police, but he didn't hit them. I mean, how many people, how many cops should that person be allowed to kill before the police are allowed to use lethal force? I mean, this is my question. If that is not justified force, then what is? I mean, I could go on for hours about this, but it literally makes me angry to even talk about it. So, I mean, you give me your thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. At what point is lethal force justified? Is there any idea that these brainwashed sheep Black Lives Matter supporters will not get behind? Is there any death that they will not protest? It seems very clear that as long as it is a black person that is killed by a white police officer, you get protests no matter what. It doesn't matter what that black person did. It doesn't matter if they were resisting arrest. It doesn't matter if they violently fought back against the police officer. It doesn't matter if they try to tase the police officer. It doesn't matter if they try to shoot the police officer. So my question is, when is lethal force justified? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Like my video, subscribe. I will see you all next time.